Hi, this is John Morton, President of the San Leandro Dahlia Society, here to share some of my experiences with dahlias, try to give some hints to you on what to do here in June. So what we want to talk about today is a little bit about disbudding and how that's good for your plants. I'll tell you about the microclimates we have around the San Francisco Bay Area and what they do. We'll talk about how to grow a big dahlia. We've got a contest coming up, the biggest dahlia in the world today contest, and I'd like to show you about that. I want to take you through my yard and how we do things and just make it as simple as possible because we love dahlias and want you to plant them too. In the mid-'80s, Joanne and I acquired this piece of property back here, and we were putting vegetables and stuff back here, but it was kind of a mishmash of stuff. One of my parents' friends came by, Jack Allman, and Jack came through and he looked at everything and he said, "Where's your dahlias?" Now, I'd been to his yard before and seen magnificent dahlias, but I told him we didn't have any. Well, truth is, we had 3 and I didn't even know it. But he told me he would take care of me. So he gave me about 3 tubers the following year, and I planted them, and they were wonderful. Lots of blooms. We cut them and take them in the house. It was a very pleasurable plant to have in the yard. So the next year, I think our number grew to 10. And the year after that to maybe 30 different dahlias. So Jack once again came by and he said, you know, these dahlias are good enough to win at a show. He says, why don't you come and join the society? Well, we thought about it. Okay, we'll try it out. And we went to a meeting and listened to what was going on at the meeting. It's like, well, we're doing that. There was a show coming up, so we picked 10 blooms and went to the show. That was a big mistake. When you get a blue ribbon and get one on the head table and it's contending for first place, it's like being a fish caught on a hook. That just got me. From that point on, I was growing dahlias, and it went from the 30 dahlias to 80 dahlias to however many we have today. I think it's a little shy of 600. One of the things that attracted me to dahlias is how different they are. Even the foliage can be different, from very dark foliage to the light green foliage. They're not a plant that is stagnant. They keep changing. Varieties will stay the same, but as you get seeds and mix them and grow new ones, you get the darker foliage, you get the lighter foliage. It's fantastic. So we have all these dahlias, and everybody wants to know, what do you do with them? Do you sell them? Well, you hear stories about the Midwest where people have, they lock their cars during the summer because people put cucumbers in their cars because they've got so many cucumbers, or squash. Well, that's kind of the way it is here. We take them to all the neighbors. We take them to the Chamber of Commerce. There's a couple of doctors' offices we take them to. We give them to many different places. If there's a fundraising at church, we take bouquets to church to sell to fundraisers. And of course, we put them in our shows. Once a year, one of our volunteer groups comes and goes through the garden, and we tell them to bring their vases, and we just fill their vases with dahlias. We don't sell them. We want to keep it a hobby. When you start selling them and making money, then it's work. Right now it's pleasure, and I'd like to keep it that way. When we first started this series, I talked a little bit about putting some plastic containers in the bottom of your pots to take up some room and save your space. The dirt we use, the potting soil is expensive, and those little plastic containers are not. I got that from a guy named Steve Nortowski, and he has a film out that I'd like to show you here on growing dahlias in containers. And you can get that at www.containerdahlias.com. And he has a lot of little hints on ways to do your containers. Now what we have down here is one of our containers that has a dahlia called Princess Page, and it's got some hanging plants in there to try to fill in around the side. Look at Steve's video. His ideas are superb. In grooming our dahlias, one of the things we want to do is have the best blooms possible. And one of the simple things we can do to help that happen is to disbud the side buds on our plants. We'll have a terminal bud and two on the side, and what we're doing is taking out the two on the side to help this happen. When we do that, the strength goes to the one in the center rather than the ones on the side. One of the problems with using rebar is once they're cut, they're very, very sharp. See how sharp this piece of rebar is? One of my hints for this is to take one of your old pieces of a soaker hose, put across the top of this. Now when you walk through your aisles, you won't be catching your arm, you won't be scratching your arms up. I've done it many times. This is what I have found as my idea for keeping that from happening. Since the last time we were out here, I've put twine around the bottom of my rows. This is for two reasons. One, I have a big-footed dog that really likes to chase squirrels, and she'll go right through the dahlias after a squirrel. The other reason is in the late afternoons it gets pretty windy out here, and I don't want my dahlias to blow over. We got them set side by side so they kind of lean against each other going this way, and I've got my twine on each side so they won't go out too far on the outside. As the plants grow and get taller, I'll put another row of twine around them to hold them up so the tops won't topple over. Now if you have a garden where you only have 1 or 2 or 3 dahlias in your garden, you may want to stake them and put something to hold the dahlia against the stake to keep it from breaking. They won't all do that. This is just a safety measure for your plant. Living here in the San Francisco Bay Area, everyone knows about the microclimates. It can be 59 at the beaches and 99 inland. And we have dahlia growers in both areas. The San Francisco group cannot grow laciniated blooms. The fog and everything around the Golden Gate Park and over in that area, it just doesn't get hot enough. The ends of the petals will not split. If you come to our area here in San Leandro, you get some pretty good laciniation, but if you go inland to Ceres or Walnut Creek or some of the really hot areas, the blooms will really laciniate. You really get some splits in the ends of the petals. If you have a show, you can expect that the winners of the laciniateds will come from the hotter areas rather than from the cooler areas like San Francisco. Now San Francisco has the advantage because of all the fog, their blooms do not bleach out as much. So when you're looking at the blooms at the show, the colors are outstanding from the coast. And they're not quite as outstanding, they're a little bit more bleached out in the sunny areas. One of our guys looked in the Guinness Book of Records to see what the largest dahlia in the world was. Well, what he found was it was a dahlia tree, and it showed how tall the dahlia was, not how big the bloom was. Several years ago in our shows, we had a biggest dahlia in the world today contest just for our area. And we came up with huge blooms that weren't particularly good looking, but they were huge, and a lot of people that's what they want, is huge dahlias. One of the ones I did very well with was Almond Supreme. I got tubers late for Almond Supreme this year, so they're just getting going now. But what I'd like to do is see if I can get one of these to be giant. So these are my 2 Almond Supreme plants. What I've decided to do is take this plant, and as it starts growing, I'm going to take out any side shoots that grow. I normally don't want to have just one bloom on a plant, but that's what I'm going to do with this one and see how well we do in our shows with, actually it'll just be one show because there'll only be one bloom, and one bloom won't last for multiple shows. But we'll see how well it does. This other one we'll just do our normal stuff to, and you can see the difference at showtime. Next time we talk will be mid-July probably, and in the 1st of August we'll be having our show. So we can talk about our show and showtime. Hopefully we'll have some of every kind of form that the American Dahlia Society recognizes, and we can set those up and show you the differences on what our different forms are. I'd like to talk a little bit about the pests, why some of the blooms look like they are, and what we might be able to do to help them out. And speaking of that, one of the things I'm doing is a little test using worm tea. And I have a section of about 80 plants that I'm just using worm tea on. I'm using water that has some worm tea in it. I'm doing pest control spraying with worm tea. I'd like to check that out and see how that compares with the other part of the garden. Hopefully it'll be as good or better than the other part of the garden, and I can stop using all those toxic things that I've used in the past. Every year I try to use less. So looking forward to July. We'll see you then.